Good evening, everybody. Well, tonight we're going to take a look at how we use standard form to find the x and the y-intercepts, and then once we've found the x and the y-intercepts, how we use that to graph linear equations very simply. So remember, when we're putting everything in standard form, we want to make sure we have ax plus by equals c. And once you've done that, everything is pretty easy. So let's take a look at how standard form helps us with intercepts and with graphing. Okay, so what is an intercept? Well, first of all, the y-intercept is when we cross through the y-axis. And the intersect always has a x coordinate of 0. It's impossible to go through the y-axis without x equaling 0. The x-intercept is where the line crosses through the x-axis. And so when we cross through there, the y-coordinate is always 0. So that is very important when they start asking us the x and y-axis, because sometimes people get those confused. Most probably the easiest thing that I recommend that you do is to draw a little graph, run your line through and say, hey, when I went through the y-intercept, what was x? Oh, it was 0. Hey, I went through the x-axis, the x-intercept, what was y? Oh, it was 0. So the line always crosses both x and y axis. The only time that doesn't come into play is when your y equals a number. When y equals a number, remember we talked about it in class today, we have a straight line, so it never ever crosses the x-axis. Or when we have x equals a number, it crosses the x-axis and never ever ever crosses the y-axis. So those would be the two exceptions. Other than that, it's impossible to draw a line without it at some point crossing both the y and the x-axis. So how do I use this? Well, let's take a look. Sorry you can't see this. It says find the x and the y-intercepts. So if I'm looking for the x and the y-intercepts, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to draw myself a little graph to remind myself. I'm looking for the x-intercept. So when I cross the x, my y is 0. So I'm going to I'm going to cover this up. My y is 0. When my y is 0, I'm left with x equals 3. So my x-intercept is x equals 3. I'm going to rewrite the equation again. My y-intercept, my x is 0. So it's called a cover-up method, and I'm just going to cover up the x, because when x is 0, this value goes away. And the only thing I'm left with now is 5y equals 3, y equals 3/5. Okay, so what is my y-intercept? My y-intercept is y equals 3/5. Now some of you might want to put these in ordered pairs. In other words, when x is 3, y is 0, x is 0, y is 3/5. And I'm okay with that. I mean, if they ask for the x-intercept, they want to know when do I cross the x-axis. When they ask for the y-intercept, they want to know when do you cross the y-axis. But if you put it in an ordered pair, that's fine too. All right, so looking for the x-intercept. So I'm looking for when y is 0. So I actually sometimes just do this. X-intercept, I'm looking for when y is 0. So I'm going to 2 times 0 is 0. So the only thing I'm left with is 4x equals 16. So x equals 4. So my x-intercept is at 4, 0. My y-intercept, 4x plus 2y equals 16. My y-intercept is when x equals 0, which means that this goes away, and I'm left with 2y equals 16, so y equals 8. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. I want you to try this and find my x and my y-intercepts. Hopefully you paused it there, and I hope that you were able to get that the x-intercept is 10, 0, and that the y-intercept is 0, 6. So how does that work when I want to use this for graphing? Well, let's take a look at some ones from the IXL. Actually, let's do one more example here. So we're looking for the y-intercept. So when I know that I'm looking for the y-intercept, I know, I'm going to draw myself a little picture, I know that x is equal to 0. So I can cross out the x, and I'm left with negative y equals 4. They're asking just for the y-intercept. I need to know what y is equal to. So I multiply both sides by negative 1, and I'm left with y equals negative 4. Let's see how we did here. Yay. Okay. So let's go on to the graphing and see how that works. One second. So here they want us to graph this function 2x minus 9y equals 18. Well, how do I go about doing this? Well, let's go back first of all and take a look at what exactly this means. I want to know when y is 0, I'm left with 2x equals 18. So x equals 9. So I know that one point is at 9, 0. And when x is 0, I know that I have negative 9y equals 18. Divide by negative 9, and I end up with y equals negative 2. Be very careful here that you don't drop the negative. Oops, got this backwards here. 0, negative 2. So now I have my ordered pairs. How does that work for graphing? Well, I'm just going to go over here to 9, 0, okay, and 0, 9, 0, and 0, 2, and we're going to submit our answer. See how we did. Well done. Let's do another one here. All right. So once again, we are looking to use this to graph. So I know that I'm going to have a 0, something, and a something, 0. And I'd really like it if you could do that. That way you can really make your life a lot easier. So I know that my x is 0, so I get rid of that, and now I have 3y equals negative 6, so y equals negative 2, and I put in my value. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to say, okay, my y is 0, and now I'm left with a simple x is negative 6. I'm just going to graph this now. So I have 0, negative 2, and negative 6, 0. Submit my answer, and I'm good to go. Let's do one more. Remember, if you think I'm going too fast, then just please pause the video as you're following along here. I've got x is 0, and I've got y is 0. When x is 0, I'm left with negative y minus equals negative 9. Multiply both sides by a negative, and I get y equals 9. And I come back over, and I say when y is 0, x equals -9, and now I have my two ordered pairs, and I can graph them again. 0, 9, and -9, 0. Now hopefully you can see how easy it is to graph these once you've set up the ordered pairs, and how easy it is that if you'll write down the two zeros, one for the x and one for the y, and then you're just filling in the missing information. The other thing too is if you forget your x and your y intercepts, think about it. I just crossed the y, my value of x is 0. I just crossed the x, my y value is 0. Hopefully that video makes sense. We'll have plenty of time to practice in class tomorrow, and make sure you do the post-video quiz. Post-video quiz tonight is post-video quiz number 6. Good night.